Well, Jim is our expert on things foreign policy related. The concern that I have is your comments that that we misrepresented you in the editorial. And what I understand the concern is about whether you described terrorists as victims. Is that?
Yes, it was the one reference that you made. Absolutely.
We have a copy of your speech here from
Right.
from whitehouse.gov, which I assume is the correct speech. And the way I read this, and I think the plain English reading is, this includes addressing the political, economic, and social forces that can make some people fall victim to the cancer of violent extremism.
Right. Victim to the cancer of violent extremism. Victim to that cancer.
Right,
as
but you're not
opposed to
talking about dead bodies here. You're talking about the people who fall under the sway of the terrorist ideology
Right.
and commit acts of terror.
Absolutely. As you say, fall under the sway
well,
of.
Then,
And what you said in your editorial was that that they themselves, the terrorists, are victims of political, economic, and social forces. That is not what I said.
that's exactly what you said.
That is not exactly what I said.
Immediately, you start talking about how you're going to address this. And you say, see, we need to show that legitimate grievances can be resolved, that we need to have good governance,
Right.
and reduce corruption and new partnerships and improve education and health and basic services.
Right. Don't you think all those things are worthwhile endeavors? And don't you think that some factors do contribute to the spawning of terrorists and extremist forces?
You're saying that the people who are terrorists are victims of these things.
I didn't say that. Read what I said literally.
We did, you said,
And you still don't get it, do you?
No, particularly since if my knowledge of history is anything, that the terrorists who strike us over and over again are not people who are victims of these things. They're people who have the opportunity to become Westerners. They're people who have the opportunity to build
Opportunity to become Westerners. Boy, if that is not an arrogant attitude. Opportunities to become Westerners, people who strike us, wherever they're
people
from.
People who are so oppressed that they have college educations at Western schools. People who are so oppressed that they have middle-class lifestyles even in the places that they come from that are poor.
Right. They're ideologically driven by a perverse and distorted version of Islam.
That has
Absolutely.
nothing to do with their social situation, because their social situation is just fine.
So you don't think that people who become ideologically driven are influenced at all by the political, economic, and social forces of their environment? You're saying that they do this irrespective of their environment? Of those social and political and economic forces that are out there?
You're not accurately describing their environment.
For example, and would you agree with the lesser, greater, and lesser jihad framework? I mean, that's pretty standard.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you give me an example of a jihad in history? Like, has there ever been a jihad, an armed jihad, anywhere in history? I mean, has it ever existed for real, or is it just a concept?
Absolutely, it has.
Oh, well, example.
I'm not going to go into this sort of history discussion here.
But it's important. It's important to frame the concept, because we want to say that what Al Qaeda is doing is not jihad. They say it is, and Abdul Azam says, in fact, there's not even a greater jihad. That's just a myth. That hadith it didn't even really happen. That there's only armed jihad. Ayatollah Khomeini said there's only armed jihad, and it would be useful to be able to characterize or to contrast what they're doing and what they claim against a legitimate armed jihad in the past.
I think we're finished. We have to get going.
You have a diverse crowd over here, and you have a bunch of frustrated whiteys over here, and that's what they are. Mm-hmm. It is an Aryan crowd, is it not? I mean, it's a Caucasian crowd over there so concerned about the mosque. Now we've got a bunch of folks out there scared that the Islam is taking over America, and we all have to worry about it. Don't they have the wrong target? Shouldn't they be more concerned about bringing people to justice? Shouldn't they be more concerned about Obama and his lieutenants running around the hills of Afghanistan and we just can't seem to cuff the guy?
The people desert the temples. They turn from the gods.
What gods? You prophets and priests made the gods that you may prey upon the fears of men.
We didn't crawl out from under no rocks. We didn't have no tails. And we didn't come from monkeys, you atheistic pinko meathead.
You have an aunt who's been living in this country apparently illegally for 4 years, and your campaign says any and all appropriate laws should be followed. So would you support her being deported to Kenya?
If she has violated laws, then those laws have to be obeyed. We're a nation of laws, and obviously that doesn't lessen my concern for her. I haven't been able to get in touch with her, but I'm a strong believer that you obey the law.
You said the U.S. should absolutely launch cross-border attacks from Afghanistan into Pakistan to, quote, stop the terrorists from coming any further in. Now, that's almost the exact position Barack Obama has taken. Are you sorry you said it, Governor?
Later in the day, Palin's remarks about Iraq were interrupted by a heckler.
You know, bless your heart, sir, my son's over in Iraq fighting for your right to protest right now.
Zaytun Onyango is living in this public housing complex in Boston, despite being instructed to leave the country back in 2004.
Monday before I left, I said to her,
"This is happening with the economy."
Well, look, we've got to turn this.
More doctors.
Where in the Constitution? We are going to. I don't worry about the Constitution on this, to be honest.
That's my. Well, that's right.
Jackpot, brother. Oh, keep. What I care more about the people that are dying every day that don't have health care.
You care more about that than the U.S. Constitution that you swore to uphold.
I believe that it says we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
Tell me. It doesn't matter to me. Well, either one.
We know it doesn't. It clearly doesn't matter to you. It's so clear that it doesn't matter to you. It's unbelievably clear.
You wouldn't know what matters to me.
Oh, check this out.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
What's your fucking problem, huh?
That's bullshit.